I am both of Apache heritage and Mexican heritage. And I came across this issue on social media when I saw a badly photoshopped image, a black gentleman on top, his face on top of Graham Greene's face from a picture of Dances with Wolves. And the meme was saying that black people were the original indigenous people of the Americas. And that's what got me into this whole trend that's going around in the African American community.
You all want our land, our treaties, our benefits, our identity, our indigenous history, and our soul. You all want to play Indian, to put your face on our artwork and heritage. You all want to erase the natives and replace us. You all just want our tribal company and casino money, which is worth billions of dollars, it's obvious. We see you all, trying to claim the Olmecs and Mayans for yourselves. Exploit is all you do.
You all want to make money from your culture vulture fantasies and exploit native struggle, triumphs, and resistance. You want to put yourselves in our shoes. You all want to be the original to this land. Exploit is all you do.
In their case, it's pure pseudoscience. All their claims are based on drawings, believe it or not, pennies, like the 1 cent.
Oh, really?
On crayons, like Crayola crayons. That's the proof. Dolls with that like there's a doll, plastic doll with a let's say that it has like dark skin, dark plastic and straight hair. That's also the proof. That is what they base their claims on. And it's very interesting. One time I went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. If you have been there, you go to the basement of the museum where the exhibit starts. And one of the pictures they have there, it's a picture of a white owner raping a slave. And my understanding is that a lot of these women back in the day, of course, out of shame, they would prefer to say, well, this kid that you have, he has straight hair. How come? It was probably more honorable to say that they have been mixed with natives, that they have been raped by their master, right? And also there's a situation in which many of these slaves that escaped their plantations were adopted by tribes, in some cases also enslaved by the tribes, and they intermixed. So some of them actually may have some let's say genetics of the Native Americans, and others it's just like their grandma told them, but then when they take the DNA test, surprise, less than 1% of Native American DNA.
Yeah. They reject DNA, that DNA to them is a white man's science that is fraudulent and it's for entertainment purposes only. And it's some kind of conspiracy that they want to label black people Africans. It's to disconnect them from their true identity, which is indigenous American. So when you bring up the DNA, their disclaimer is that DNA is false. DNA is fake. And so therefore, what are we left with evidence? Well, like the gentleman said earlier, their evidence is crayons, the Indian red crayon, which the name Indian red means, and it's brown, means it's them. A copper penny, right? A copper penny is their proof. They literally will put their skin next to a penny and say, look, we match a copper penny. And well, they get that information from European descriptions of the indigenous people. When the Europeans first came here, they described indigenous people as copper colored. So therefore, since they're as we all know, African Americans come in various colors of brown, dark brown to almost black to very light brown, and so there's this wide range of hues within the African American community, and so somehow they believe that this copper colored claim by these Europeans who saw indigenous people that's them because they're obviously copper colored in their opinion.
Just to add on, Klashkate was saying is that they also rely on Pinterest and social media, and the birth of the internet also spurred things like them referencing paintings and firsthand accounts by people like Giovanni Verrazzano, who's a Florentine explorer, who and all these other people that actually have paintings of what they deem to be Native Americans, but they never set foot in the Western Hemisphere. So you got pictures from people that are from Holland, and they describe Native Americans, or they paint Native Americans. They have somewhat Afro features. So they take these pictures and say, "Oh, there's your proof," right? Or they use craniometry, the archaic ways of science versus present day DNA, where we have mitochondrial DNA, we have peer reviewed science studies. You will never find a peer reviewed study that holds any water in any Afrocentric or Abocentric based study.
When it comes to contemporary white archaeologists, they're like, "Oh no, that's the white man's science and this and that." But when it comes to these like 19 or 1700 white dudes who never set foot on the Americas, when they draw a picture of this,
that's different. Yeah.
When they draw a picture of Moctezuma, and he has these cherubic features, and yet colored with dark skin, all of a sudden these are the guys we should believe, not the guys that actually use genetics and immunological studies and all that kind of stuff.
There's also the thing is that imagine like a white European coming here, of course without knowing that they were in a completely new land that has not been found by anybody but Native Americans, and seeing people with dark skin, in times when you can't take a picture with your phone, like even like the people who came here, the Europeans who came here, were people who were illiterate, or people who were like looking for fortune. It's not that they brought like artists, or they brought like any. So they did their best when they went back home to describe what they saw, and it was like people with dark skin. Of course, if I go back to my country, spend a couple of weeks there, like I have dark skin, and not just that. Like when I tell the story that my father used to call me negro because I was the one in the family with the darker skin. He used to call my mom negra, and in this case, in my country, it's not an insult. It's just it's more like, well, you have dark skin, you're a negro, or you're a moreno, or you're a negra, or negrito. So that's a thing in Spanish that happens, and sometimes these people who are wishful thinking, they find the word negro hidden there, and they think that it refers to Africans, when it's just a thing in Spanish that you use the word negro, like you said, either as an insult, or also as a way to describe a person that doesn't have white skin.
The erroneous claims of Africans being here before Columbus, this idea that the Olmecs were Africans, based upon the famous Olmec
features,
stone sculptures that apparently look like Africans because of their big lips and wide noses. These claims are not backed by science. We have a kind of a nickname for this type of methodology. We call it lookership. Like, hey, it looks like an African, therefore it is an African. What they're not taking into consideration is that large, full lips and wide noses are environmental adaptations, and that people all over the world who live in tropical climates have those type of features. But this idea that only Africans have these features is what they promote. They promote, as a matter of fact, that the Olmec are African because look at the heads; they look like Africans.
Yeah.
Genetically, every ancient skeleton that they find, genetically, it's always our ancestor, not theirs. Genetically, every ancient skeleton that they find, genetically, it's always our ancestor, not theirs.